2 years ago this week, I did something that I never imagined growing up in Britain.
What?
I bought my first American house. And it got me thinking about an undeniable fact. American houses are not just larger than British ones, they're a completely different style.
From giant mansions to these perfectly symmetrical suburban clones that make me wonder if I'm living in the Truman.
Wait, so in videos back in the day, I remember seeing people talking about those houses that they all look the same or they are all very similar. Tell me please, is this something that is common in America or is a new trend that is appearing right now? Today I'll be reacting to 7 house styles I only saw after moving to America. My friends, I'm super excited for this one. I know in America you guys have beautiful homes, but before I go into that, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much. It's the best way to show support. Actually, my friends, Happy New Year. Almost forgot this. Sorry. Happy New Year to you, to your family, to the ones you love. And I hope this year brings you tremendous joy. And look, if you can subscribe, imagine subscribing to this Portuguese guy in the first day of the year. That would mean so much to me that you guys have no idea. So please have that in consideration. Link for the original video in my description and...
Hello. 2 years ago this week, I did something that I never imagined growing up in Britain.
What?
I bought my first American house. And it got me thinking about an undeniable fact. American houses are not just larger than British ones, they're a completely different style.
From giant mansions to these perfectly symmetrical suburban clones that make me wonder if I'm living in the Truman.
Wait, okay, my friends, this is a question that have been in my mind for months at this point, and I never saw a video that I had the opportunity to ask you about this. So, in videos back in the day, I remember seeing people talking about those houses that they all look the same or they are all very similar. Sometimes they even look the same. Tell me please, is this something that is common in America or is a new trend that is appearing right now? To be fair, most of them are super... the design tends to be very beautiful, right? But it's kind of weird. I cannot imagine going through those streets, you know, walking my dog, and all the houses are the same. How crazy is that? Oh, friends, tell me in the comments. By the way, look at this. Is this Colorado? This looks like Colorado.
Show. It's been an architectural tour for the ages.
And speaking of
beautiful.
the Truman Show, if you're subscribed to my entire life, thank you. If not, do that now.
Do it now, my friends.
But what exactly makes these homes so uniquely American? Well, to answer that, let me tell you all about 7 American housing styles that I only encountered after moving to the United States. And trust me, number 7 will blow your mind in half.
Dutch Colonial.
The first one is as
Dutch Colonial. Dutch? Netherlands?
American as the word cookie. In that, it began life in the Netherlands.
The Dutch Colonial House, a throwback to Dutch settlement in America, is a design that screams, we know how to farm, and we'll do it with a hat on.
I'll be honest, I actually did know America had houses like this, but only because my family had a VHS of the Amityville horror.
This incredible roofline really tells you that...
Oh my god, this is AI, right? But it's so beautiful. Take a look at this home.
Dutch settlers had extraordinary craftsmanship, and that they took the term barnhouse a bit too literally.
Coming from Britain, where we've mastered the art of squeezing entire families into a space the size of an American walk-in closet, this was a revelation.
Because Dutch colonials are quite roomy and with plenty of character, just ask the Lutz family. And then you've got the shutters, which are purely decorative, of course. I don't think I've ever seen Americans close them. It's like 17th century colonists only put them there to generate Instagram clicks. But the charm is...
Oh, but they are... No, and this is... I mean, people close those. I mean, specific at the night, of course. I know he's joking, but they have a reason to be there. This type of house I saw in a lot of movies. I mean, I never knew it was Dutch house, right? The name, but Dutch colonial house, something like that. But it's tremendous, my friends.
Is undeniable. A little weird, a little wonderful, but very, very American. And Dutch.
Ranch.
Since moving here, I've come to find that the word ranch is to Americans what the word fit is to British people. A word with many meanings.
It can mean a ranch inhabited by farm animals and George Lucas. It can mean...
Okay, that's the first thing. No, I don't think about this. This is UK people. The first thing I think about ranch is, a bunch of horses, cows, and people living with nature. But I guess it's a typical house also.
a specific type of salad dressing, or it could mean a very horizontal style of house. Ranch-style homes seem designed for people who fear heights or perhaps just really value having their bed and fridge on the same floor, which is fair enough, actually.
In Britain,
Wait, but isn't that the typical American house? Actually, I was not aware of this ranch house. This seems like the typical American house to me.
It's fair enough, actually.
In Britain, the idea of a one-storey house screams bungalow, which are predominantly inhabited by the over 65s.
And so it is with the American ranch style, as evidenced by the fact that Mandela effect caused me to think that my late grandfather-in-law lived in one. According to my wife, it was actually a double-wide trailer, but I digress. And they're absolutely everywhere. I mean, every time I drive through a neighbourhood filled with them, I can't help but imagine a world where architects were paid by the square foot.
Now, as we speak, many of you are probably typing, but Lawrence, you were only able to afford your house because your online business was so successful. Oh, stop it. You're just being so accurate.
Craftsman
And yes,
bungalow?
America has bungalows too.
And the style with which I'm most familiar is the Craftsman bungalow. At first glance, I thought somebody had misplaced a movie set in a very serious neighbourhood.
But no, this wasn't a lucky one-off, it's a thing. Craftsmen are everywhere in Chicago. And what they lack in size, they make up for in other things, which I personally find very relatable.
These houses are like that overachieving kid in school who reminds the teacher about homework.
Excuse me, miss, I have exposed rafters, hand-carved brackets, and a porch that the European mind cannot possibly comprehend.
Apparently, the Craftsman movement was all about rebelling against the Industrial Revolution, a return to handcrafted quality and away from low-quality mass production. Ironic then that every house feels like it could moonlight as a national park gift shop. But my own European
Okay, that's crazy.
mind always returns to those porches. I haven't confirmed this, but I've heard that if you own a Craftsman, you're legally required to have a rocking chair, an iced tea, and an opinion about whose lawn needs mowing. Anyway, Suburban Sue lives in one.
Cape Cod style. So this is the ones in the beach.
One big surprise was discovering that America has housing styles that were inspired by English architecture.
Perhaps the most obvious example I can think of is the Cape Cod style. English settlers brought it to Massachusetts in the late 17th century, but realized that, like me, it wasn't compatible with North American winters, so they adapted it.
The roof was given a steeper pitch so that the snow could easily be transferred from the roof above to the ground below, possibly taking out a tax collector or two.
Historically tied to Massachusetts, Cape Cods are quaint, snug, and with more charm than a teapot collection on a vintage lace doily. They also
Honestly, I'm so confused watching this video because all of them seem... I'm just realizing another thing. I don't know what's the typical American house. That's bad. Because that also seems the typical American house. I guess... but that looks similar to the other one. That is all right there. Let's continue.
have this delightful habit of looking like they've been designed specifically for an autumn photo shoot. Crisp leaves, a wreath on the door, and maybe a pumpkin on the stoop. But run a Google search for the interior and it becomes clear that the designers were going for that light and airy look, which I'm sure was a welcome respite from, typhoid.
Colonial
People
Revival.
who don't know any better say
Those ones are the fancy ones, right? That have big pillars and stuff like that.
America is a young country with no history, but it has enough history to have old house styles that were based on even older house styles that were based on even older house styles from England.
Enter the Colonial Revival, a style that feels like it was only created so that it could be the backdrop in a Revolutionary War reenactment. You know the type: symmetrical facade, centered front door, neatly aligned windows. Die-hard fans of Lost in the Pond might remember seeing an example in my Thanksgiving video, Steve Martin's house in Planes, Trains and Automobiles.
But when I think of these houses, I always picture the columns. Before I moved here, I thought America just reserved columns for the White House, but they're everywhere.
It's as if early Americans didn't
This is fancy as hell.
yet have any culture of their own, so they imported architectural elements from the Greeks to create a sense of grandeur, opulence and power. Actually, that's exactly what happened. As for the interior, it's also about recreating the past, with cozy fireplaces and walls practically begging for a creepy bust of George Washington.
Over the 16 years,
Honestly, if I had to bet, I assume those houses are really expensive in America because they are historical. And if you take care, if you take care of them very well, they could be. When someone enters there and see all the details, they could impress a lot of people.
years that I've lived here, I've often imagined that if I ever became a super wealthy YouTube sensation, I could see myself living in one of these. So keep binge watching.
Spanish Revival.
Of course, it wasn't just Northern Europe that made its mark on the American neighborhood. Whenever
What is the Portuguese style home in America? That isn't?
I end up in California, it's like I'm visiting Spain all
Okay.
over again,
Show me.
but with worse traffic.
This is in no small part because of Spanish Colonial Revival houses. If you've never seen them, how best to describe? Imagine if your house decided it was auditioning to be the backdrop of a romantic telenovela. That's basically the vibe. Now, as a Brit, I find these homes utterly fascinating because in Britain, if you plastered the outside of your house in warm stucco and paved your roof in
Yo, I went to Spain a couple of times and it is not exactly the style you see the most there.
red terracotta tile, people would assume it's either a very niche theme park or a pop-up tapas bar. But Spanish Revival is all about arches, intricate
Oh, but this actually seems familiar.
ironwork, and those fabulous courtyards where I assume Americans sip sangria while a guitarist strums in the background. And if not, what even is the point of stereotypes?
To that end, I often imagine that living in one would always feel like a never-ending holiday. But that's probably because I only ever see Spanish architecture when I'm on holiday. Anyway, I think they're absolutely charming. Sort
No,
of the
they are
exact
beautiful.
opposite of these.
McManions? What the hell is this? Some type of McDonald's home? MC? No, maybe. No, maybe this is MC Mansions.
Over the years, I've come to realise that American excess is often weirdly tied to names that sound Scottish. McDonald's, the MacBook Pro, and yes, McMansions.
If you're not familiar with this
McMansions.
architectural madness, imagine a house that looks like it was designed by someone who couldn't decide between a Tuscan villa, a Gothic
Yo, this is a expensive house 100%. What the hell?
castle, and a standard hotel lobby. In Britain, homes tend to be, shall we say, more reserved. You've got your brick semi-detached houses, your quaint terraces, and even the occasional mansion. But nowhere in Britain would you find this.
I say that as somebody who lives down the street from several McMansions and who once spent a weekend in one.
It was about 4 British homes in one. I mean, just walking from the ground floor toilet to the linen closet, I was sweating buckets. So it was a good job that I was heading to the linen closet.
But don't be fooled, it's not just the space that's bewildering. It's the sheer amount of completely unnecessary features.
A foyer so big you could land a helicopter in it, but somehow no storage for actual shoes or coats. A room labelled the sitting room that no one has ever, in fact, sat in. And what's going on with the windows? Some McMansions have windows that are purely decorative. Literal glass rectangles leading nowhere, like the architectural equivalent of false promises.
And Google,
Wait, just for style?
what kind of decade could possibly have thrown up these gaudy, over-the-top love letters to American excess?
The 80s.
Surprise, surprise. So there you have it. 7 uniquely American housing styles. Let me know in the comments which one I should move into next. And if you liked this video, there's absolutely no helping you. But if you did, you'll watch this video immediately. Until
I already watched it. My friends, actually one thing. Okay, you end up asking at the end, what house would you move, right? If you had the option. I like this one, the simple one, the ranch
Horizontal
style.
style of house. Ranch style homes.
You know, seems cozy. You have your garage. You know, it's not that complicated to clean, I feel like. I like this one. But to finish this, let's go back here, because this is something that I really want to mention again, and I think is important because this has been on my mind for a long time. Let's play it.
Clones that make me wonder if I'm living in the Truman Show. It's been an architectural tour for the ages.
My friends, please tell me in the comments. Is this a new trend in America? Suburbs that all the houses look the same is something that is very common. And another thing is, I'm also realizing I don't know what's the typical American house. I guess this video proves that there is 7 house styles. I mean, there is more, but Lawrence presents us 7 house styles. I wonder if you ever saw all of those. If so, leave me a like or leave me a comment. But they all have one thing in common. They are quite beautiful. But yeah, is this a bit weird? Not gonna lie, it is. But would I love to have one? Also, yes. So yeah, my friends, thank you so much for watching this with me. Really means a lot. You guys end up staying until the end. See you guys in the next one. Bye, my friends, and Happy New Year.